All right, Ronan MMA, welcome back to the channel. Now let's talk about the most privileged fighter in UFC history, okay? Because Jon Jones made a statement recently on a podcast regarding the next crop of heavyweight contenders and how he doesn't want to fight them unless they have big star value, name, and the mainstream public's going to be excited about it and all this good stuff. So I'm going to read to you the quote, and then we're going to talk about the stuff. After that, I'm going to give my take and reaction and things like that. Now, quote, "I have to look at it as a business and not just speak out of pride, but speak as my legacy and as a business." The grammar is not there. If the hardcore fans know who these guys are, that's great. But at the end of the day, I have to fight people. The mainstream public is going to be excited about Jon Jones on fighting next crop of heavyweight contenders. Jon, I hate to break it to you, dude. I don't think the mainstream public cares about you anymore. I don't know why that. First of all, Stipe Miocic, right, is not, in my opinion, like a household name. He's a household name to hardcore fans, which Jon Jones is just thrown in the garbage. He doesn't care about them. He doesn't care about what they want to see. The guys that have literally been there watching him, buying his pay-per-views after every single fuck up he has done, okay? Once upon a time, Jon Jones had the mainstream public by the balls. He just did. I can't remember another fighter in UFC history that had a Nike and a Gatorade sponsor, okay? That's like as mainstream as it gets. And then he hit a pregnant lady with his car while he was drinking and driving, okay? And then he fled the scene and came back to grab a weed pipe or whatever the fuck, right? And then he did a whole bunch of other shit. Ever since USADA showed up in 2015, he's literally tested positive for steroids every single event since then. And USADA just now all of a sudden doesn't report on it because, oh, you can have this many picograms in your system, despite the fact that that actually means you were definitely taking steroids and you just didn't flush it fully out. But it's okay because it's only a little bit. So the benefit that you acquired while you were training for this fight, we're not going to think about. We're just going to pretend you won't have a benefit during the fight because you have the testosterone of a female, okay? That's Jon Jones for you. But I just don't care. The only reason I would care is if he decides after the Stipe fight he's going to hold on to the belt, which, if you guys will remember, after the Cyril Gane fight, he made it pretty clear. I'm going to fight Stipe in MSG. I'm going to retire, okay? If he retires and vacates the belt, could not care less. I don't care. I want him gone, all right? It would be way better for the division if a guy like a Sergey Pavlovich flatlined him, and not only would it be better for the division, it would be better for all of our mental health because it would be so satisfying watching that human piece of shit get flatlined, kind of like the same way it was extremely satisfying to watch Tai Tuivasa flatline Greg Hardy, okay? But we're not going to get that. There's no heavyweight that is a household name to the mainstream public. The only person you could even argue is Derek Lewis, and even more so than Stipe Miocic, man. Like, what the fuck are we talking about? Stipe Miocic, do you want to know what the mainstream public remembers of Stipe Miocic? The hardcore fans know who the fuck he is. The hardcore fans knows who he beat. The hardcore fans know that he humbled and schooled Francis Ngannou in their first fight, possibly creating the monster that Ngannou turned into. We know all of that shit. The casual fans, the new mainstream public that came around 2020 to 2023 have not a fucking clue. What they remember of Stipe Miocic is him doing the limbo in the most impressive fashion of all time while being unconscious in his fight against Francis Ngannou. His body being so limp that it got caught on itself on the way down, as if there was an imaginary coat hanger trying to hold him up. I've never seen somebody's body go that fucking sideways while being on their feet, while being knocked out cold, okay? That's what the mainstream public remembers of Stipe Miocic. The mainstream public is not going to be overly excited for this fight. The only person that you could argue is Derek Lewis. Derek Lewis is nowhere near a title shot, my guy. So as long as Jon Jones does not think he's going to be holding on to this belt, waiting for somebody with 1 million plus Instagram followers to come along, then good. Fuck off, good riddance. Don't care, dude. Seriously, don't care, okay? It is what it is, man. Yeah, I'm salty. I hate Jon Jones. He's a horrible person. He's done horrible things throughout his entire career. He gets a pass every single time. They move an entire event from one state to another because he tested positive for steroids. Whether or not you like Anthony Smith, I don't know why he would make this up. USADA called him once a day all throughout fight week to let him know that Jon Jones was still testing positive for these pulsing picograms that only the best fighter of all time has this issue with, okay? The guy that has 2 brothers in the NFL, the guy that has an 8-figure net worth, can't figure out how to flush his system out properly. He's the only fucking guy The only guy, man. Everybody likes to try and say, oh, well, you know, everybody he was fighting was also on steroids. Yeah, up until 2015. Then we saw Vitor melt, right? Then we saw Anderson's performances drop off. We saw Lyoto Machido's performances drop off. We could tell. Okay, because USADA, once upon a time, were actually trying to catch people, in my opinion. And then I think the UFC realized a few years later, like, these guys are a bit of a fucking hassle. Hey, bro, if Jon Jones tests positive, let's just not say shit. And then a few years later, upon his return, let's just change the rules, okay? So that pulsing picograms is no longer a positive test. And oh, by the way, that means that all of his previous tests, the Dom Reyes fight, the Anthony Smith fight, the Alexander Gustafsson fight, none of those count as positive tests. Fuck Jon Jones, dude. How about that, eh? How about that? I would love to see him get flatlined by Sergey Pavlovich. I truly would. But I don't think it's going to happen. There's nobody that he can stick around and wait for that is going to have a huge name. The mainstream public, the casual fans, they don't care about the Jelton Almeidas. They don't care about the Tom Aspinalls. They don't care about the Sergey Pavloviches. They don't care. They don't care. And I think that Jon Jones has realized after his Shogun fight that he on his own now, because once upon a time he could, right? Him and Daniel Cormier too, I think, did 875,000 pay-per-view buys. Can't sell pay-per-views unless he has a very strong B-side, okay? And that just doesn't exist in the heavyweight division. So I don't know what he's planning on doing here. I don't know why he's even acting like there's going to be potential matchups in the future when he made it pretty damn clear he was going to retire after he fights this 40-some-odd-year-old Stipe Miocic, who the mainstream public remembers doing the limbo before getting, like, Dan Henderson H-bomb, dude. Like, it's strange to me, man. It really is. He's talking about Stipe Miocic's giving him nightmares. Yeah, because he looked like a fucking skinwalker or whatever those goddamn things are called when he was doing the limbo while unconscious. That's why he's giving you nightmares, not because you're concerned about the fight. Do you know what I mean? Anyways, dude, that's my thought on Jon Jones. Talking about the next crop of heavyweight contenders. I could not care less. I can't wait till he's gone from the sport, whether it's leaving, getting flatlined by Sergey Pavlovich, or if he has the fucking parade that he wants in MSG after beating a 41, 42-year-old Stipe Miocic coming off of one of the most brutal KO losses I've ever fucking seen at heavyweight. Don't care. I just don't. Anyways, dude, like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. I will see you at the next video. Bye-bye.